The Friendly Foreigner, Ystävällinen Muukalainen, is the title of a children's book at the back of my parish church in Jyväskylä, central Finland. This inspired me to ask parishioners if they thought that that's what they were supposed to be, friendly foreigners. So I asked them to fill out a survey and I interviewed 10 of them. And then I observed what was going on in the parish between Epiphany and Candlemas this year. As you can see from the map, the parishioners who answered came from all over the world. This is where they were born. But while most of the adults were born abroad, 3/4 of them in fact, most of the children in the parish are born in Finland. And even of the adults that are born abroad, half of them are citizens and 1/4 of permanent residents in terms of the whole number of people in the parish. Epiphany was a time of celebration in our parish. It's a moment of food, music, dance, singing, and celebrating all the different cultures, nations, ethnicities, and even ecumenical faces of our parish. And this was very helpful for me in thinking about what Cruz calls the idea of God as a host, rather than looking at people as hosts and guests. We are all God's people who God is hosting, both in church and out of it. In late January, on St. Henry's Day, we were thinking about how foreign we feel because a neighbouring parish in another city in Finland, Turku, was attacked. And you can see the graffiti that was on the outside of the church. This was at the same time when the synagogue in that town was also attacked by a small group of right-wing extremists. So this was in a way also reflected in parishioners' answers to the survey, that some of them felt very Finnish and some of them felt that they were still outside the culture. Also at the end of January, we had a planning consultation because our rather modern looking building, the church on the right in that slide with a question mark, was being put up for planning permission because it was supposed to be sold and the plot turned into flats because we've got no money. And this was a moment where, although parishioners felt that their Finns around them didn't necessarily see them and their church as Finnish, the local Finns rallied round to support us and came to that planning consultation and stopped the process. So now the planning permission hasn't gone through and the building isn't going to be sold. But not only the parishioners, but also the church itself is used to moving. We really are the church on the move, the pilgrim church. This building was built in the 60s, but it was built because the previous building, which you can see in the photo on the left, was evacuated. That original parish in Viipuri or Viborg in east, and it's now in Russia and was then in Finland, and the population was evacuated to Jyväskylä in the 1940s. I also asked parishioners what they thought Catholics in Finland bring to Finnish society, what can we share, and they gave what might seem very classic, but really were very meaningful answers: faith, hope and love. And given the context through which we were living at that time, the hope particularly sprang eternal, and this came through in Candlemas. My final question to the parishioners was, what do they think Catholics in Finland can bring to the church worldwide? And they said that the church really is Catholic and it has a global face, and their experience of being a minority within a minority could be something that the global church could learn from. So while I started with a biblical image from a children's book, the image that the parishioners gave me was of Our Lady. One parishioner in particular spoke about this Polish image of the Black Madonna, which she would like to see in the church. Others spoke, but she knew that that wasn't really reasonable because we come from so many different places and we have connections to so many different places, that it was more fair to have this wooden, more neutral image of Our Lady, which is what we've actually got. But when people look at that wooden, more neutral image, they might be seeing the Polish one or the other ones, the Cuban one, the Ecuadorian one, or the old one from the church where it used to be before the 1940s. There really is a lot of overlap and integration between the different cultures in this small but perfectly formed church. So thank you in some of the languages spoken in this parish in Jyväskylä for listening. I look forward to your questions.